Hello, Dr. Brant Hulsebus here, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Chiropractor. Ask the Chiropractor is my little podcast that I do. When someone has a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care, I try to answer. I'm a chiropractor here in Rockford, Illinois. I'm a proud graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic, and I'm happy to be the team chiropractor of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Let's dive into it. Hello, welcome to episode 8. If you listened to last week, we talked about the fact that when you're in middle school, you're under a tremendous amount of emotional stress. And I wanted to leave that as a segue into this one, what actually happens in your body when you're under stress. As chiropractors, we study a lot with the autonomic nervous system. Now, if you didn't listen to episode 1, go back and take a look at that one, because we discuss the autonomic nervous system a lot. But let's talk about the autonomic nervous system and how we take care of that here in Rockford, Illinois. The autonomic nervous system has 2 modes. Everything's okay, and we're under attack. Maybe you've heard of it called fight and flight. And when 1 or 2 bones in your spine are misaligned, the autonomic nervous system tone can be affected by that. If any of your vertebrae are misaligned, they could be stuck in the fight and flight response. If the top bone in your neck, your C1, your atlas, or your tailbone's misaligned, that can affect the opposite system, called the parasympathetic, leaving you in a state of fight and flight unchecked. So whenever you're in fight and flight, genetically speaking, we're hunters and gatherers, and we're designed to walk the earth, kill small animals, eat vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, but more importantly, avoid the large animals. And so when we see a large animal, our body goes into a catabolic state, or sympathetic tone, or fight and flight. And the idea is that this nervous system changes is to keep us best prepared to survive an attack from a wolf, a bear, a lion, a cougar, whatever. Some of the changes is your cholesterol goes way up. Why is that good change? If you're being attacked, I'm sure you've heard high cholesterol is bad for you. If you're being chased by a bear, high cholesterol is good for you because you want to clot and live if you got scratched or cut. Reproductive drive turns off. We don't need that when we're being chased by a bear. White blood cells, great against viruses, bacteria, cancer, horrible against bears. So your immune system goes down. Your ability to fall asleep goes away. Get good quality sleep because you're thinking that you're under attack. Other things, digestion alters because you don't care about digesting your lunch if you're being chased by a bear. Your blood flow changes. Did you know when you're under fight and flight that most of the blood goes to your arms and your legs so you can either run or fight? It goes away from your trunk, your core, because we don't really worry about that if we don't get away. So this is many different changes your body undergoes when you're under attack. And now, if I was a hunter and gatherer, the way my genetic code is designed, I wouldn't have a lot of emotional stress. Hunters and gatherers didn't have possessions, relationships, and stuff like that. They just walked the earth. And so none of us actually live that lifestyle where we just walk the earth. We have a lot of emotional stress. And when you're under high emotional stress, your body can't differentiate between emotional stress, physical stress, and chemical stress. So if I eat a rotten fish sandwich, the chemical stress takes over. If I fall down the stairs or play a game of hockey, the physical stress takes over. But the emotional stress is the exact same as far as my body's concerned. So when we have a lot of emotional stress, it causes our body to go into fight and flight mode. And part of that is you go into what we call the fetal curve. Now, whenever you see someone in the fetal position, everything is flexed. They're all flexed forward. Why are they doing that? If you were truly under attack by a wolf or a bear and you get in that fetal position, what are you really doing? You're protecting your vital organs. You're laying in a position where your vital organs are most protected the best you can. And so you see people when they're under stress, they tend to hunch over more and they get the rounding of the shoulders and they get this overall collapse of their height. And they get that forward head posture. And that just wreaks havoc on your nervous system. It wreaks havoc on your spine. It wreaks havoc on your health. A lot of times when you come in the clinic, I'll look at you and I'll ask you, are you under a lot of stress right now? Now, I'm assuming you're under a lot of stress because I can see that your posture is shot. I can see that you're hunched over. I can feel the tightness between your shoulders. These are all physiological adaptations to a stressful response where your body thinks you're in danger. So you hunch over, you curl up, you get that tightness between your shoulders. And we talked before, when we talked about desk ergonomics, how that tightness between your shoulders and the nerves that come out of there are the ones that go to your heart and lungs, and how important those nerves are. Not that any nerve's not important, but when we talk about cardiac and respiratory rates, this is a very important part of your spine. So if you're all stressed out, you're hunched in, you're leaning in like that, you can't relax. And if you can't relax, you can't heal. So you have a lot of emotional stress. Your body is in that fight and flight, and you can't heal, you can't repair yourself, you're ruining your posture, you're building things up, and this becomes like a cascade. So first we get the stress, we get locked up, we get tight, we get in that fetal position, we start destroying our posture. We destroy our posture, we leave ourselves in a more vulnerable position for more physical pain, more physical compromise, meaning that I'm walking around in a vulnerable position. So it's easy for me to hurt myself more because I'm already in a vulnerable position. Where if I was an extension, I was back and feeling great, I'd be doing great. But when I'm in that fight or flight protection mode and flexion, I'm in trouble. Then I think that just stimulates more of the stress response. And I often tease that when you have a bad emotional day, you go home, you open the fridge, there's a cheesecake and a salad in there. Did you know biologically you're driven to that cheesecake? Because your emotional state of stress thinks your body's in danger, and they'd rather take 40% of those sugars from that cheesecake and try to use them real quick for the fight and the flight, rather than try to process a salad. So you'll take that cheesecake and you'll use 40% right away, quick little energy burst, and you'll save the other 60% for later in the terms of fat cells. And after you eat that cheesecake, do you feel like going for exercise or running, or do you feel like hitting the couch? No, you usually feel like hitting the couch because nobody wants to exercise after eating cheesecake. And then you get up after being on the couch for a couple hours, you look in the mirror, your hair's all messed up, your shirt's wrinkled, you can look down, you got some cheesecake crumbs on your shirt. How do you feel about yourself? You usually feel so bad you want another piece of cheesecake. So this becomes a vicious cycle because the chemical stress and the emotional stress and the physical stress all drive towards each other. How do you break it? It's easy to say, just get rid of all your emotional stress. I can't begin to tell you how many patients have come in and told me when my doctor told me what my problem is. I go, really, what's your problem? He said, I just have too much emotional stress. I should just get rid of it all. I'm like, yeah, we all should. How do you do that? How do you go about doing that? It makes me laugh that it sounds like it's that easy to do. It's really hard to do. So how do you break the stress? One, you can just not eat the cheesecake, right? You can eat your salad. You can force yourself to eat that salad. Two, force yourself to go for a walk. Don't eat either one. Go for a walk first. Try to get some of that physical stress. Try to alleviate some of that by trying to eat better and move better. But if those aren't working, you might need a chiropractic adjustment. You might need somebody to reset you. Kind of like if you're a computer having a bug and you go hit Control-Alt-Delete and the computer resets. Or you go to see the chiropractor, we look at your upper two bones in your neck and we reset that vagus nerve that tells your body the danger's gone. It's time to relax. We go down between the shoulders and we adjust you there and we alleviate some of that tension you build up. And of course, if you have all that going up on top, you've heard me talk about the righting reflex where your eyes have to stay level at all times. We go down to your lower back and your hips because now they're counter twisting to balance everything else off. And now you're starting to walk straight and walk better. So as chiropractors, we don't claim to be able to get rid of your emotional stress. We're happy to coach you in ideas like yoga, meditation, and stuff like that. Just like we're happy to coach you on how to eat right and how to move right, how to exercise more, how to go for a walk and force yourself into things. So we're always happy to be there. But the one thing that we offer that nobody else offers is that chiropractic adjustment. And nobody else can go in there and reset your nervous system like a chiropractor can with a chiropractic adjustment. The best thing about chiropractic is we don't add anything. We're not giving you a prescription. We're not doing anything. We're just taking what you have, trying to fine tune it and break it out of its funk, hopefully break you out of your funk. So if you know someone that's been under a lot of stress emotionally and a lot of stress overall, whether it's a middle school kid going through puberty, whether it's somebody who just lost a loved one, whether it's someone having a hard time at work, whatever it is, maybe it's a veteran going through a tough time. A lot of times going to the chiropractor can help take some of that stress off and help that person reset, refocus, get going again. So if you got somebody stuck in that fight and flight mode, you got somebody stuck in that not sleeping good, not focusing, angry, upset stomach, you all know the symptoms, depression. Sometimes going to the chiropractor and getting those areas adjusted can make a huge change in your overall health and help reset to get you back on the path to health. And most of us chiropractors, I know here in Rockford, Illinois, I have other people I work with. So if that's just you and you come to see me, I know people you can sit down and talk to. I got friends on the road at Movement Fitness. I send you down to get a better exercise program. I know parks where you can go take a good walk. And I know where I'm going to send you to get some better food to eat, some healthier stuff. Even if you want to go out and make it easy on yourself, I know great restaurants in Rockford that's for really good, clean foods. So come in and see us if you're having too much stress, or if you know someone having too much stress, tell them to go try a chiropractor. Now remember, if you ask your family doctor whether you should go to a chiropractor or not for this, they're going to tell you, hopefully they tell you, I don't know, but they're probably going to tell you no because they don't know. They don't know, so they just say no. So the only person qualified to answer that question if you should go see a chiropractor would be a chiropractor. So if you're having these stress issues and other things like that, make sure you talk to a chiropractor about chiropractic care. Only a chiropractor knows what chiropractors do and don't do. So ask a chiropractor. Leave a message for me if you want me to answer your question. So again, if you got that person that has headaches, that person that can't focus, that person that can't sleep, that person that's really cranky, maybe that person has a lot of gut problems, a lot of GI issues. Matter of fact, gut issues, gut health, that might be a good conversation. Why don't you come back next week for episode 9? We'll talk a little bit about gut health and what we do as chiropractors to maybe help with digestion. Maybe you heard me talk a little bit about it back in the pediatric one. I think that was episode 7. We'll come back next week. We'll talk a little bit more about gut health. Yeah, people come to us when they have gut problems. Look forward to telling you more about that next week. Thank you.